You're listening to Zoom the TBT with Charge and Hayner.
This is Zoom the TBT with Charge and Hayner. We are just flying through some really awesome regional previews, and we are going to go tonight to Wichita, Kansas. Charge, how hyped are you about this region?
I'm just hyped about TBT and Hull. Wow, if you're, we're taping this on Monday night, and the Enchantment Heartfire game just got over, and all-time classic TBT game.
Tuesday night. That's how long we've been taping. It's Tuesday night. You're giving the dates.
Oh God, is it Tuesday? I don't even know what day it is anymore. But I mean, it is just insane. If you're not watching TBT basketball, I don't know what you're going to do. But Wichita is going to bring some fireworks as well. Obviously, we'll talk about the big new addition for Purple and Black here. But Aftershocks made that great run, great home crowd hosting a regional this year. Everline always makes great runs, and got some new teams in here as well, so that should be fun to break those teams down. But I mean, great regional, not just from a team and performance standpoint, but those folks in Wichita love their basketball, and they're going to come out and support this region.
Big news here, too, also is we make a lot of fun of Stillwater because they had that really bad showing last year. But the reality is we've always liked those guys. They come correct. They come to play. They've been great guests in the past. So we're sorry to see them out. We wonder why. The fact their head coach is getting a lawsuit right now might have something to do with it. We don't know. But if you're listening to Stillwater, we hope to see you again next year. You guys were definitely a great part of the community. We can't wait to see the come back and take their rightful place as 164. But with that in mind, let's get right into this.
Can I complain one more time about Fort Worth Funk not being in the TBT?
Sure.
So this would have been the perfect matchup. So Fort Worth Funk wasn't alumni enough, so they got bounced. So B1 Ballers, was in the fan selection, and so they weren't selected in the fan selection, but backdoored it into Wichita with Stillwater coming out. But this would have been a great matchup with Texas Tech and the Fort Worth Funk. So, man, 2 chances to get Fort Worth Funk in there and unfortunately miss. So, obviously, TBT does a great job. Look at these games we're looking at this week in opening rounds, but just love for Fort Worth Funk and wish they would have gotten there. So, last complaint about Fort Worth Funk. And
it's the only team that looks like a pit named Slickback as their logo, and I sorry to see them go. So, congratulations to the B1 Ballers. My analysis of them actually ends at the fact their name is the B1 Ballers. We didn't get a slide together because it was too late in the process. So good luck to them, yada, yada. Let's get it moving. Okay, so this first matchup, the host team, the Aftershock, who rode the home crowd, a big win last year against RD. We're both, as you guys know, listen to us, we're both Division III alums. This is a near and dear team to us. And we actually were able to have them as guests. So, Charge, we just go straight to the video.
Let's do it.
This is the gentleman from D3 talking about their potential run in Wichita. Hey guys, this is Charge Hair represent Zoom to TBT. And this afternoon, we have the boys from We Are D3, head coach Mike Rejniak, and then also star players Eric Demers and DeVaughn Rucker. Gentlemen, how are you doing today?
Awesome. How are you, bro?
I've been pretty good watching some of these games out in New York. Can't wait to watch D3. Obviously, me and Charge are both D3 guys, so we'll be obviously rooting for you guys. I mean, the press is non-affiliated and neutral. But let's be clear, we're not really press. We're not really neutral. So we're definitely rooting for you guys. If you have shocks here, that's just tough shit. We don't really care. We say what we want. Okay, so anyway, real quick, start with Reg. How are practices going?
Good. I think obviously we're doing a lot of things that we're tightening up. But due to the fact that we have a significant amount of returners, including these 2 guys next to me, I think that we were able to really hit the ground running, further than where we have been in years past, where we're bringing in a whole group of players where we got to talk about expectations and what it's going to be like. These guys know what to expect, especially since last year we already played in Coke Arena. So we're ahead of where we were, but we're not where I want to be yet. We will be, and these guys are picking it up, and we're thinking things at a high level. And sometimes I overthink things, but I think we're in a really good spot right now. But we got a lot more work to do these next couple of days to get ready for the Aftershocks.
You overthink things? No, that would never happen.
Never
so
happen.
Eric,
never
happen. Never happen. So
my wife says I'm the clearest thinker in the room.
So you're usually in an empty room, is what you're telling me by saying it that way. Okay, so Eric, practices have been pretty good. Like, obviously you've played in the G League, you've been in Summer League. Obviously, you've played at the highest levels that people at TBT have played. You've also played at Coke Arena before. So, like, what has to go differently for you guys to pull off the upset here, besides you getting more shots, obviously?
I mean, I don't know if I need to get more shots up. I just think experience is going to help us a lot this year. Like Reg said, we bring a lot of guys back. Not just getting used to playing with each other, but getting used to the layout of TBT and the Elam ending. And it's just a totally different game of basketball, different version. So having it be a lot of our second and sometimes third time through with TBT, I think is going to play a big factor for us.
I would agree with that, obviously. Now, Dr. Rucker, excuse me, DeVaughn Rucker. Now, people may not know this, but Mr. Rucker, soon to be Dr. What's up?
Hold off on that for like 5 years. I'm still dumb. Just like give me a couple times.
How long does it? I have lots of friends who have tried to get PhDs. 2 have made it, and multiples have quit. So it takes between, I believe, 3 years and the rest of your natural life, and the sun going into a dark ball of coal, basically. But it's mechanical engineering, correct?
Yes.
So people listen to the show know I'm an architect. I'm just a basketball junkie, but I draw for a living. So which is smarter, engineers or architects, DeVaughn?
I'm going to say engineers on that one.
Got to say engineers. Got it.
That one is engineers.
I have to agree. We're just dumb pencil jockeys. And also, people also know we're both WashU grads. We have the shared WashU Bear experience. So, DeVaughn, first of all, how was playing in England this year?
It was amazing. It was an experience that really gave me a lot of confidence. I was basically the main guy for both teams. And so it was a lot of me learning the game and learning how to lead. And I think it's been translating pretty well in terms of being adaptable and knowing what to do here.
Yeah, it's also allowing you to further your studies over there, too. So it's the best of both possible worlds, obviously. So, okay, Reg, we've talked about your team. Obviously, your team is really talented. You guys have been in 3 games. You've been up in every one of them in the second half. So maybe we can talk about changing the narrative here. Let's talk a little bit about your opponents real quick. We'll see the sign up here. So first of all, who are you scheming against to stop the aftershocks? And by the way, this show, obviously, we let our guests spread as much misinformation as they want. So feel free to lie to your opponents in case listening. Tell them you're not defending them. Tell them whatever the hell you damn well, please.
We're going to hold Connor Frankamp to 1.2 points. That's our goal. And then rebounding, we are going to just give up every offensive rebound and not play hard.
Fair enough. That sounds like a really, really, really good strategy.
The main strategy is to actually probably be down by maybe 1 or 2 points at halftime and then change the narrative that way. That's really all I've thought about for the last year. No, like I think like they're so talented. You can't. It's like the stupid adage goes. You can only hope to contain them types of stuff. Like because they are so long, they're talented. It's just a matter of, to be honest, I think it's going to come down to the Elam ending where
sure.
You know, whoever is connected, whichever team is connected the most, is going to win the game. I really believe that. I think not only because both teams can make plays. Obviously, Kelly, Frankamp, Dickey is like a pogo stick. He's going to be jumping all over the gym, and obviously Shaq Morris is making his return to Coke Arena. So, like, I think there's a lot of they have a lot to prove, and we have a lot to prove. I think they're what we want to be, and the fact that they were the underdog and then they become the darlings because they made it that deep run in a couple Final Fours. These are a lot of representatives from those teams. We're the underdog, and unfortunately, it's just strict business. We got to go through you, so it is what it is. And I think like whether it be aftershocks they pit us against, I think you guys had us up against Everline Drive. The place is going to be hostile as hell. And it's going to be loud as hell. But to be honest, these guys, they're professionals. We've dealt with this before. We've dealt with being yelled at, names, things like that. You know, it doesn't matter to us. I think for us, it's a strictly business. We respect the hell out of them. I think for us, it's just tightening the screw that much more this year. We can get that much better to get us over that hump.
Totally makes sense. I want to stay on that hostile environment. So, DeVaughn, first of all, obviously, you're not be able to change the crowd, and obviously, it'd be great if WashU could host this one year. I think the Bears should be able to host TBT one year. Division III school should actually host this one year. What's up?
We would kill it. D3 would kill it if we could host the site. We kill it. Put in like Fort Wayne or like Salem, Virginia. We'd kill it. All right.
Yeah. Oh, Salem. Yeah.
WashU would kill it. WashU would kill it.
They're bigger stadiums. Let's be realistic.
That's true.
I love watching these.
Dude, WashU had the Olympics one year, so we definitely host TBT. So DeVaughn, obviously, you're not going to have the crowd behind you. So how are you going to play through a hostile environment? Like, how are you going to do that?
I think just staying together as a team. Obviously, we've all faced adversity individually, and we're all like-minded people. We all want to win. And so we all know what to do in order to get there. And so just staying together as a group is the biggest thing.
Totally makes sense. I want to give you guys one more question. I know you're busy. I appreciate you taking time out of a very busy day to talk with me. This last question, I'll leave you with this, is for Eric. Obviously, D3 is 0-3 so far, but they've played hard. You guys have come close literally every year. You've been up in every game against championship level squads, obviously earning a lot of respect for a division that's unrespected. What do people still not understand about the quality of Division III ballers?
I think they don't value the basketball that we play. It's a genuine brand of basketball. We went to Division III schools because we love the game. We weren't there because school is being paid for, things like that. We truly, and the same thing coming to TBT, we want to be here. We want to showcase that brand of basketball because we do think we can play that brand of basketball at the highest levels, and we plan to showcase that this week.
That's a great way to end it. DeVaughn, Rucker, Eric Demers, and Coach Reds, thanks for swinging by today. Really appreciate it. Division III. Gotta love the fact Division III comes to play. So they're likable guys, right? I like the idea of letting the other team get all the offensive rebounds.
gotta throw them off their game a little bit. Shock and awe, let them up a little. But yeah, I mean these guys are great. Obviously, everybody wants to root for them as the underdog. Unfortunately, in Wichita, I don't think they're going to get as much that underdog cheering squad that you typically see in some of these regionals. But these guys are pros. They're great ball players. They're well coached, and it doesn't matter where they play. They're gonna come out swinging.
So we should speak this into being, though, seriously, because oddly enough, and I shouldn't be followed because I'm probably their dumbest alumni, but Washington University actually does follow me, and I think we should actually get. D3 should be a host one year. I really think we should get a Division III school host. Washington Stadium's decent size. It's in a major metropolitan area in St. Louis. I mean, I'm just saying this now. Speaking of being like, if Dan Friel's listening, and we know we have dozens of listeners, but a couple of them are at the home office. I mean, Division III would be a really interesting host, I think.
He mentioned Fort Wayne. I'm all about getting that into Indianapolis, Fort Wayne someday. The heck with St. Louis.
Anyway. Okay, so let's
what are we even talking about? This is like our 8th taping of the night. So aftershocks, let's do it.
Yeah. Okay, aftershocks.
It feels like 8.
They had a really, really good run last year, aided by one very questionable tackle for a steal late one game. But I mean, great home crowd. I think Wichita might have been tied with West Virginia for the most electric crowd last year. We weren't there, but we saw it on television, and it was intense. We know the Shockers fans love their basketball. And again, really, they're not going to go as far as Connor Frankamp shooting will take them, right?
Yeah, I mean, obviously he's the centerpiece of this team, just from the fan base, and just a really quality player. So he brings excitement to it. He'll be in the 33-point contest. The fans love him. So obviously, big name there. But obviously, I think one of their top players will continue to be Tyrus McGee. So their grad transfer, who's been playing with them for 2-3 years now, and just such a big addition and can do so much. But this team's deep when you look through their roster. I mean, you got guys in the French league, Israel, Germany, VTB league. I mean, these guys are playing really, really high level. And I don't think people realize that about Wichita. I think they kind of get stuck in, kind of had a Cinderella run here or there, competitive. But these guys are playing really high level ball that they proved it last year. They have that home court advantage last year, and I think there'll be a solid run this year with D3 waiting there to knock them off.
One minor thing about this too, and this is sort of a drama thing, is Greg Marshall was let go, and some of these players played under Marshall, and some of them may have had roles in how that all played out. So there might be a bit of a rocky homecoming for a few of these players. So it's just a small note about how the end of Greg Marshall's run might have a small bit of effect on things. Now, this D3 roster, one thing Reg told me also is that he's excited to have this level of size, because you've got guys who are actually legitimate big men for a change, because usually this team lacks size, and they don't now. The advantage of having guys like Hawkinson, like Houston, is they actually have enough young size. This is a pretty young team, too. So they have enough size and strength outside of them to kind of knock some people. And the good news is since they don't have a ton of egos, they're going to kind of run a system that's fairly egalitarian. Let them get a lot of good shots. But again, the offense is probably going to end and start with Eric Demers, right? I mean, that's where it's going to go.
Yeah. Obviously, he's probably one of the biggest names playing for D3, and I think the youth that they have is just going to be key. And I was surprised to see how young Wichita was, because Frank Camp feels a lot older than 26. It seems like that guy's been around forever. But these guys are the same age, kind of 23, 24. So it's going to be a lot of energy.
Frank Camp's only 26. That's amazing. Go ahead.
I know. I thought he was like who's that dude that used to play for Kansas? Man, that is like 40
Perry
years old.
Ellis. Perry Ellis. I interviewed.
like
my first ever press gig ever as like being pressed. I mean, obviously Martech, but like my first ever like press gig was I covered the Boast Mobile Elite, and I met Perry Ellis. And even when he was in high school, Perry Ellis looked as big as he is now. It's just insanity. Like he looked like he was 40 in high school game, and I'm like, what the hell is going on? Because he was a Memphis target, even though he went to Kansas. So I interviewed him, and he ended up going to Kansas. But like he was. You know what else was there? Josh Selby, plays for City Team, was also there. Just kind of.
We got City Team.
Josh Selby was sick.
Yeah. So back to D3. That's who we're on. But yeah, I love the youth of these guys. And some of these guys are fresh out of college, but when you're putting up 20 and 13, 18 and a half and 15, I mean, these are some legit big men that are, and we found obviously guards kind of dominate TBT in a lot of forms or fashions, but you see in some of these games, Odiasi took it over today, and their game, and Guttercat games would have been a big trouble if he didn't step up. So you need to find the spots and have that guy that can step up and be that rim protector when you need it. So they got a couple good ones there.
So they're not a hopeless cause. They're not a sacrificial lamb.
No, not at all.
But it will be a tough road to hoe on the road. Let's get to the weird game here. So the Air Raiders versus Stan and B Ballers flip the seeds again. All Stillwater, we really wish that they're in their quality team. Pushes for 23. Hope what happened to them works out. Let's start with the Air Raiders. I don't even have a slide for B1. This is the only slide we're going to have. One thing on the slide that really is, look, we ran out of time. So B1 Ballers, just no disrespect when you're a late ad, we're not doing graphics. We ran out of time. So B1 Ballers are a basketball team playing TBT, and they're good. And that's our analysis for the entire team. Now, the Air Raiders, one thing about this slide,
they got Jarrell Benjamin. I think that's the only guy I recognize the name. Jarrell Benjamin is on B1 Ballers. So let's give him that. Okay, cool. That whoever you just said is on B1 Ballers. By the way, again, as we ever make fun of your team, and we're not actually making fun, we just have time to prepare because it's just a rash to get them in. A rush, not even a rash. That's terrible. A rush to get them in. Not a rash, not a rash. So if we didn't get you in or we talk shit, feel free to text us and we'll get you on. We'll let you yell at us. That's not even a problem. But what I really hate about this is Matt Mooney is going to play. Which really provide them a lot of shooting. So it looks like the offense might instead go through, and I'm going to butcher this, Norenzi Adasi. Yeah,
that's the guy I'm really they're a target. I mean, he was a very good player. Lots of places in the G League. And I think this team still will probably get past the first round, but not having Mooney going forward might present a real problem with their shooting. Yeah, and this is a really good team. And, so Matt Mooney we've heard is out because he was removed from the roster. What's interesting, they posted a picture of their team today, and Matt Mooney was in it. So I'm assuming he's got contract situations or agent situations. But as soon as I saw the picture, I see Mooney in there. I'm like, there's a chance. Let's get Matt Mooney out there. So you're saying there's a chance? There's a chance. He was in the photo, so I'm saying he's playing now. No, as far as we know, he's not playing, but probably just spending time with the team and his guys from Texas Tech and just having a good time. But I think these guys are a lot deeper than they're going to get credit for, because obviously Mooney's probably the most high-profile guy that a lot of guys know. But Justin Gray, when these guys were the Matadors back in the day, played really tough up there in Columbus. Chandre Jones is probably one of the best point guards that nobody knows about or talks about. He led that Richmond Spiders team in TBT to nice victories in VCU. Zach Smith actually played for her and just real athletic guy and does a nice job. Zaire Smith, if healthy, could be really, really good as well. Tariq Owens, solid player. So there's just a lot of guys who, if they can put it all together and play their roles, and they're all very recent Texas Tech grads, so I think they're going to gel quickly and know a good system and really show up. I like this as a sleeper team. Yeah, definitely. Now, purple and black, this is the big news. Now, they're not on the card, but what's the big news for purple and black? This is huge.
Michael Beasley. So
Beasley, holy shit.
There was some rumor that could happen, and I saw some messaging online, and yeah, they picked him up. So TBT probably had the inside scoop on that a little bit earlier because I was shocked to see him as a 3 seed. They haven't won a TBT game in about 4 seasons. They're always played good, and they're always competitive, and they have Jacob Pullen. But yeah, Beasley, I think, changes the course of this team in a hurry, and likely matchup against Everline in round 2 looks a lot different with Beasley than it did without. So this is going to be an interesting team and interesting matchup because this is another one. I think this whole Wichita region could have somebody surprise and go very, very deep.
I mean, you got Walker, you got Jacob Pullen, who's a bucket, and then you bring in the Beasley. I mean, that's a nasty, nasty squad. Now, I don't know a ton about the Lone Star Legend. They're a new team. But I mean, Texas always has a lot of talent. If you're from Texas, Texas was warm weather states. It's easy to train in. People live there. They can work out easier. So like, there's a lot of talent in this roster. But like, does the Beasley thing really change the complexion of how deep this team can go?
Yeah, absolutely. I think Lone Star Legends are going to compete. They're not a pushover. So I think Frank Bartley, obviously, solid player. John Jordan, solid player. Fun fact about John Jordan, he won the G League dunk contest a few years back, beating DJ Steffens. So obviously we all know DJ got robbed in that. That was yeah, I mean he has some good stuff, but DJ should have won. But I mean, so they got some talent here, and like I said, Akeem Ellis, you know, you probably heard his name before, but those are kind of the 3 guys that stick out the most to me that could step up. So they're definitely not a Virginia Dream type of situation where it's just some guys thrown together. This is legit pros here that play in some top divisions, played in the G League, and so yeah, you don't want to sleep on them.
I like how you're very unintelligently dumping on a team we're going to meet in person. I love that. You're just like, oh, the Virginia Dream, and like we're going to see them. They're going to see your face. They can take a swing at you if they want.
They very well could. I don't know. It's just
they're fine. Everybody's good squad.
Yeah,
everybody's good squad.
Yeah, everyone knows it. It's whatever. We do this for fun and just having a good time. But there's some other teams I just really wanted in the TBT before Virginia Dream. So
no disrespect, they're a good squad, but there's some teams, yeah. Moving along now, this is facing a favorites of the pod. We have Eberline Drive Believer. Now, we were able to get the boys from Eberline on here. Do you want to do the analysis first this time and then go ahead and get to the video? Let's do the interview first.
Yeah, let's do the interview. Yeah. Then I could say it was the time gushing over the player they brought on and how good he's going to be for the Charge Nation fantasy team. So we'll
definitely, there we go. We're going to talk about that. Let's go to the interview. We had the boys from Eberline. They showed up to talk. Hey guys, it's Charge Haters at ZoomTheTBT, and tonight we have a couple of wonderful guests from Eberline Drive, one of our favorite long-term programs in TBT. First of all, Matt Mitchell, co-GM of the team. Matt, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing well. We're excited to be on the show. Thanks for having us.
Always a pleasure to have you. And also, Kings of the Grizzly Summer League. We have Shaq Buchanan in the house. Shaq, what is up?
What's up? How's it going?
Always a pleasure to have you guys on. And Shaq, we'll start with you. So first of all, we were both in Vegas. I was watching you ball the hell out for the Grizzly Summer League team. Now, what are your immediate plans after winning the TBT chip with Eberline?
Just putting up for my daughter, helping her go to school, then getting ready for overseas.
And where's that going to be this year, actually?
In Israel.
Okay, Israel. That's definitely a great league. We're going to get you back on that Memphis team, either the Hustle or hopefully the Grizzlies at some point. But we can let you leave the 901 for a short to make some good money in Israel. No problem with that.
It's all love there. They know they Grizzly and the Hustle. That's still my family. And
100%. So Matt, when you're setting up this roster, I mean, I'm looking at the roster now. You've got a lot of talent. I mean, Buchanan's a great ad. You got some guys coming back, obviously. Talk a little bit about, I think your biggest ad, though, might be Amari Spellman. Like, how have you loaded up this roster? Every year you guys have a slightly different roster. So how are you going to go ahead and make this team work?
Yeah, no, I think, this is not just something that happens over the course of a couple of weeks. This is something that we put a lot of time and energy into and thought into it. So, for instance, Shaq Buchanan joining us again. He was with us in our bubble team back in 2020. So while he wasn't with us last year, he played with an alumni. We're extremely excited to have a guy like Shaq back. And then, we went outside and tried to bolster a few other positions as well, while also returning some key guys like AJ Slaughter and Nick Mayo. So, there's a lot of energy and time that goes into this. It's not just myself, great coaches and great coaching staff that comes alongside and supports me and leverages a lot of their experience and relationships to help network and introduce me to players that may have interest in playing with us. But, I think we've taken the approach that we want to have some good vets, but also some young guys as well. So I think we have a good combination there, and we're really excited to get out there and see how it works.
Yeah, you've got a lot of guys in the prime of their career. Now, Shaq, you're obviously a very high volume scorer, also someone who likes to go ahead and distribute the ball as well. So how do you see your role being with this iteration of Elberline Drive?
Just running that point guard spot, getting everybody involved. And I know a couple of the guys on the team, so I know where they want the ball at, and we're going to take advantage of that.
Yeah, definitely. Play fast and loose, obviously. Matt, obviously, you're one of the teams that's a non-alumni team, which is a little harder road to hoe. The disadvantage is there's not a built-in fan base, but you guys have started to cultivate a brand because you've been together so long. The advantage is obviously you can cast a wider net for players that fit your mold. So how is this cycle emphasize the advantages of a non-alumni team? Because I see a lot of different players on here who played a lot of different places. How is your roster flexibility a big asset this time around?
Yeah, I think there's two ways to look at that. One way is, we're not kind of constrained to just filling a roster full of players that played at the same university, which there's pluses and minuses to that. Obviously, the fan base is a great thing, but you also can't maybe throw as wide of a net as you alluded to. The negative is there are a handful of other quote unquote all-star teams with no ties or geographic or a school. So a lot of us are competing and recruiting for the same players, whereas you're not going to see, Syracuse trying to steal a Mean Green player, most likely. So that's one maybe negative or disadvantage of being not tied to a school or an entity like that. But certainly it's something that I've come to really love and appreciate. The reason I do this, not just because I'm competitive, I love basketball, but I love the relationships that come through TBT and the guys that play on my squad. It's much more than just 3 weeks in the summer. And so, having a chance to meet new people and throw that wide net to try to bring the best talent we can is a lot of fun.
Definitely. Now, Shaq, it speaks a lot to that approach that you're willing to come back and play for the program again. You've played for Elberline before, and you're willing to come back. So what about the style of play that this roster or this program tends to advance that has you coming back for more?
Just a run and gun, playing the ball to rim, shooting threes, and just having fun as a whole.
That makes a lot of sense. Now, Matt, also, I understand GMs have a very hard job. You have to get a competitive roster. You have to convince studs like Shaq to play for you. That's a hard sell because he's a great player. But also, you have to find enough money to pay for what this insanity has become. It gets more and more expensive every year. I want to go ahead and give you a chance. I see you have a sponsor on your shirt. I want to go ahead and give you a chance to shout out your sponsor simply because we want to go ahead and talk about them. So what's Court One about?
So Court One Athletics is a facility in Phoenix. They have a whole bunch of basketball and volleyball facilities there. It's become the gentleman that runs it and operates it is become a friend of ours. He's just a basketball junkie. He played college ball himself. And so he's gotten behind us the last couple of years. We really appreciate it. We have a few other sponsors that we're really excited to have on board. Vayner Sports Pass, which is a NFT project with Gary Vaynerchuk and AJ Vaynerchuk. Mm-hmm. So that's a really exciting one. And so we've got a lot of support, which goes a long way. I tell people all the time, it's not just myself putting a team together. I have great help on the back end and kind of administratively. We have a great coaching staff, obviously great roster, but our financial partners and sponsors play a big part of our team's success. And so we're very appreciative of everything they do for us.
Teamwork makes the dream work. All right, Shaq, let's get back to the basketball, though. So you guys are playing the Bleed Green. What do you know about this roster? Obviously, they're an ascendant program that's going up to the American Athletic Conference, going up from one of the lower conferences. They've actually been a bit of a force in the tournament recently. Obviously, you guys are a heavy favorite due to your seed and also the talent you have, but they can't be taken lightly. Like, what stands out about how you're going to approach this game?
It's the first game. Going with the mindset that both are 0-0, anything can happen. So just going there with their approach, throw the first punch and see where it goes from there.
Now, Matt, you guys will be at Wichita, obviously a place I believe you've played before, a really fun region. However, you will not. You are a beloved team without an actual home. So how are you hoping to swing the crowd behind you?
Well, I think, like Shaq said, first of all, every game is going to be a tough out in this tournament. loaded rosters across the board have grown tremendously. And so we recognize that, and we're not going to take any opponent lightly. As far as getting the fans involved, I think it's somewhat difficult, as not being tied to any location, as well as being maybe a higher seed. Everybody likes to root for the underdog. And so, for instance, last year when we were in Wichita, I think Wichita State was playing after us. We had a pretty big lead over Florida TNT, and they started to chip away, and the crowd turned pretty quickly pulling for Florida TNT, to where all of a sudden there's 4,000 or 5,000 people going crazy when they hit shots or things like that. So we're gonna have to make our own noise and bring our own energy for sure. But that's not something we're unfamiliar with, and we look forward to the opportunity.
Definitely. I mean, you guys are a staple in this. You guys have been in almost every one, if not every one. I think you guys got knocked out of COVID year due to COVID. Otherwise, you guys have pretty much been in every one, even with your brief sojourn as the stickman, in fact. So, Shaq, I'm going to give you guys one last question. This is the Shaq. So, obviously, TBT is a growing concern. It's a great way for European and overseas pros. It's almost a job fair to get your brand out there. What do people need to understand who maybe aren't watching TBT yet? Why do they need to be watching this exciting brand of basketball players like you? What are people missing by not investing?
It's another really much like assembly. You get to watch the top, like you said, the top guys from overseas or guys looking for jobs, and they come compete in the TBT. And the LM ending, that just make it even better, because if the game closes, guys really got to compete and play at a high level. And you can see they get to showcase all their talent.
Totally makes sense. I guess we're going to leave that there. So we have Memphis Hustle legend and current Drive point guard Shaq Buchanan and Matt Mitchell, co-GM of Everline Drive. Let's drive, gentlemen. Good luck in your next game.
Yes, sir.
Thanks, Hannah. I appreciate having us.
Always a pleasure. Let's drive indeed. They always come with a really nice roster. I wouldn't expect what Matt and Jake as co-GM are able to do. So they always bring these really, really solid players back. And you're looking at this roster, and they, again, have got a really, really solid roster.
Yeah, no, they're great at working their relationships and just really, putting a great team together. I'm excited because I got Shaq Buchanan in the fantasy league and absolute steal. So this guy's gonna just load it up in the box score. Can't wait. But I mean, just the guys you talked about on the Zoom call were solid, but when you start looking at like a Marcus Thornton, I mean, this is an older dude, but this guy could still play.
He doesn't even get mentioned in the call. He's an elite player. That's how loaded this roster is.
I mean, that is just crazy what they have going on. So they have a couple good veterans in Hilliard and Thornton. So I think it's going to come together real nice. And AJ Slaughter's another. I had no idea he was 34. He plays a lot younger than that. So they just have a good squad. But I do have a bone to pick with you. If you look at our graphics here, under league, the intern spells G League correctly, and Andrew Hayner spells G League incorrectly. So we got
if that's the level of
teach you
that guy slides, I'm going to slap. That's important to you. That's important to you. That's important to you. Yeah.
As a G League guy, yes, it's one of those pet peeves that people who cover the NBA can't figure that out, and so it's just a pet peeve as a G League nerd. Spell it right, people. So at least our intern got it right. So good for him. But
I'll let our intern know. We'll show him this. He'll get a kick out of that. He'll be like, yeah, I've known the intern my entire life, and he definitely thinks I'm a moron. So look at his other roster. Now, this is a sneaky nice roster. I mean, I chose to highlight Brandon Jefferson. He put up 18 a game in French A. That's not a bad starting point for a roster. For 7th, you have a guy putting almost 20 in French A, starting 38 games. That's a nice place to start the conversation.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of
feisty online too. They're feisty online.
Yeah, this is going to be a tough matchup. So I mean, I think everyone believes in Eberline being that favorite. But I mean, there's a couple people you can start with right along with Jefferson, Shannon Shorter, Murphy Holloway. I mean, those are some serious ballers along with Jefferson. So you got a big three before you even get things rolling there. So it should be interesting how, once again, you don't know on paper. These guys are tough, and they got a good training camp going, a lot of buzz around their team. They did a nice job in the offseason. Really pulling together, generating some excitement. So, can't wait to see Bleed Green and what they can do representing North Texas there.
And this for line got fairly difficult fairly fast because they Bleed Green. I mean, I think they'll beat Bleed Green, but they're not going to get out with any scars. Those claws in that logo will be felt by the Drive. And then they draw Michael Beasley and possibly the Shocks at home. Like, it went from like a fairly casual stroll through the Kansas wheat into like a complete hellscape of a Drive. So this might be an interesting story as Can Eberline, one of the favorites, navigate a pretty tough road. So let's go to our picks. And again, like, I think we're just honestly hanging out too much at this point because, I mean, that's just weird. It's just strange.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah,
same picks. We picked all the way down. And we picked chalk all the way through, except for the final. We both picked Everline Drive. Partially sentimental, partially because we're assuming, at least I'm assuming, that the Aftershocks won't be allowed to actually football tackle their way to a stolen ball late in the game again like they did. I think the refs will not allow them to play football again, but we'll see. But, I mean, this will be a pretty interesting region.
Yeah, I didn't get gutsy enough, but I think Air Raiders takes that Aftershocks game if they get past D3. Because, I mean, like I said, we talked about this in our bracket shows right at the beginning, but that's a tough matchup going from a D3 team right into Air Raiders, right into, let's say, the winner of Eberline and Purple and Black. I mean, there's some tough games here.
It's funny, too, because we talked about this, and a lot of people early in the selection process choose to avoid a region that looks stronger or looks weaker. And then that causes them to actually kind of flatten and get pretty normal. But Wichita region's one we initially thought might be weaker, but it kept getting suddenly stronger and suddenly stronger. And now it's like, this is a difficult little region. This is kind of nasty now, actually.
Oh, yeah, very nasty with the Purple and Black team elevating. Because that's one that could have been a first-round upset, in my opinion. But, yeah, with them getting Beasley, I mean, look at those 4 teams on that screen. You could not ask for a better second-round games in Wichita.
You really can't ask for that. Okay, so Charged, we got one more preview we're going to have to do, and we're going to do that pretty soon. In fact, people will be watching different orders, but we're going to do it pretty much now. So any final thoughts on Wichita?
No, like I said, that's a great region. Stay tuned because there's going to be a lot of excitement out of there.
It'll be a lot of fun. So we're going to sign off for Wichita. This has been Charge and represent ZoomTheTBT. Signing off.
Hope you enjoyed listening to Zoom the TBT with Charge and Hainer. Subscribe to YouTube, follow on Twitter, and give us your money.